Yes, may I make one comment before I ask my question, if that's all right? I have a problem with the death, because that man died from blunt force contact with the pavement when he jumped out of the window. And so we don't really know if that amount of cannabis would have killed him, and I suspect it might not have. But that's not my question. That was just bubbling out, so sorry. My question is from your point of view, it's Project SAM and everything, do you all ever consider the damage that's done by giving a teenager or an adult a criminal record, or bashing down a door, or arresting people on the streets, and a bit of over-policing that happens around cannabis? Do you all ever consider that? Because from my perspective, I've been working in criminal justice, that's the biggest problem. It's the criminalization and the police intervention and criminal records and so forth. And, like Cam's, what happened to Cam's son.
Well, we certainly look at that data. We work very closely with women inmates at the Western Regional Jail down in Roanoke. And those women that are there, they're not there for simple possession. And if you go to the research, it's a very, very...
No, but you can often get arrested for simple possession. And that's often a problem. People lose their jobs just for getting arrested.
Especially if you're a person of color.
And they send SWAT teams in.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not, that's an easy thing to say, and I know that's true. We get that all the time down at the state capitol, but that's not all there is to it. When you make a substance illegal, you have lots of unintended consequences.
There's lots of unintended consequences when we decide that we're going to make another illegal drug legal. And the other piece of this, and and that is a discussion that I think is separate from some of this too.
What, regulating? Regulating?
It's a plan.
The plant piece.
Okay.
There are pieces of this. Our part of this is we want to prevent addiction. We want to prevent the things that I just talked about happening with 16-year-olds. There are many layers to this piece of substances, okay? And, I think that Marilyn talked about the runner's high. My addiction is I love to work out. I train for endurance triathlons all the time. So I know that runner's high. I know exactly what that is. In fact, part of me thinking about what I was going to say here was on a run 2 days ago, running into the sunset. But what we are trying to do is say, and I totally agree with certain pieces of health that are going to balance out. And I totally agree, we've got an opiate problem. We've got a huge opiate problem. But we've got to look at all those pieces, and we have to say that we've got to prevent this. We've got to prevent even people from wanting to have to use any of this, from then becoming addicted to this. I mean, if you don't need to use it even for medicinal purposes, you don't need to use it.
Do we need to use caffeine?
There's a lot of people that we talk about with there's a lot, we've got an epidemic of diabetes, we've got an epidemic of obesity, we've got an epidemic of heroin. There's a lot of different ways without using a pill or any substance to get healthier. A lot of ways.